Remember in my last video when I said that we were definitely gonna get Shinx no matter what at the very least? Guess what, suckers? Not only did we get Shinx once, but twice. I do not lie.
Everybody like, hey, are you ready to go? Ready to go. Everybody like, hey.
Alright, what's going on, y'all? Soul here, and welcome back to my story mode. So, by clicking on this video, I'm sure you know exactly what we're getting into. We're going to be talking about all of my feelings regarding everything when it comes to Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Or at the very least, my initial feelings regarding the reveal trailer after I've calmed down after a couple of hours, because you know your boy was kinda stoked. And so I started doing the best thing I know how to do to help calm myself down, and that's sort all my feelings out regarding everything, the good and the bad, when it comes to the Gen 4 quote-unquote remakes that we've been talking about for the better part of 2 months. So before we get down to brass tacks here, there's a couple of things that I like to say. However, everything that I'm about to say pertains to the remakes and everything else revealed, so stick around. For one thing, I'm really glad that I was wrong, to be honest with you. Now, this little feeling here dates back all the way to the first video that most of you probably found me from. I was saying that I was super scared that they were going to give the half-assed effort to make Gen 4 remakes look something like Gen 8, and we were going to get something very disappointing. Or at least it was something generally along those lines. Give me a break here, it's been over a month. You guys are probably going to want to kick me in the teeth after I say this, but you guys always hear me say time and time again that these people are the kings of left field. They don't do things that we're going to expect. And while we did 100% expect Gen 4 remakes, this is not the way that we expected it. Not only did we not get a direct Gen 8, Gen 4 remake, we simply got a genuine Gen 4 remake built from the ground up that stays true to its own game, as well as a prequel title that's coming out only a couple of months afterwards. Or, at the very least, at this point in time, it's slated for early 2022. Do not quote me on that. But somehow at the same time they managed to give us less and more than what we expected, and I will gladly take that. Another thing that I wanted to kind of point out is that instead of remakes, we're getting what seems to be more like remasters. Now again, I know you may disagree with me on this, but when you think about it, these games are supposed to be as close to the originals as humanly possible. They only truly fall under remakes by technicality because that's how they were built. But hey, you can call that a stretch if you want. If we're calling them remakes, then we're calling them remakes, but just to me personally, I see them more as remasters. But it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. They're new Diamond and Pearl games, so that's what counts. Now, another thing that I wanted to point out is that in my reaction, I know I said the word perfect, but when I say that, I didn't necessarily mean the games themselves, if that makes any sense. If you want to know what I'm talking about, I'm gonna need you to stick around to the end of the video because that's where you're gonna get your answer. And then one of the final things that I really wanted to point out is that I do have a Pokemon Legends script ready to go right after this one. However, I really thought that these two games should be kind of separated and put into their own little spotlights. If I actually tried to cover all of my feelings regarding both of those games in this video by itself, this would probably end up being a pretty long ass video, so I decided to go ahead and separate the two. I'll get the other one out to you guys very soon. But as of now, we're focusing on the Diamond and Pearl remakes, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. So why don't we go ahead and flip it around for once? Why don't we actually start on the good things, everything that I enjoyed regarding these remakes? Or at the very least, the things that we know so far. For starters, I'm in absolute love with the chibi style. I think it's super cute and it's a look that I will never get tired of. If you truly pay attention, it's almost like they really tried to recreate the original sprites but in 3D. That's not usually a stride that works out very well in game development, but in this situation, I think I've seen a lot worse. I very much enjoy what we got. Also, for anybody that absolutely can't stand to look at their faces, you gotta remember, this is a top-down game. We're not gonna be staring at their faces for that long anyway. And hey, even if you're not a big fan of the characters overall, maybe that scenery got to you, because it definitely got to me. I love the way that the scenery looks this time around. Take a look at Lake Variety real quick and tell me that water doesn't at least look decent. Looks way better than Sword and Shield at the very least, you gotta admit. And a couple of you OGs probably remember me talking about how I wanted Jubilife City remade and looking real pretty like. This isn't exactly what I was expecting, but you know what? It's something I will gladly accept. I like the way it looks now. Getting back on topic here, focusing on solely the characters, everybody's been saying that it looks more like a chibi style. Personally, I think it reminds me more of a big toy-like style. This game is something very reminiscent of Link's Awakening remakes that we got on the Switch just a couple of years ago. For those of you who don't know, Link's Awakening also got its own remake, remaster, whatever you want to call it, released on the Switch just a couple of years ago. Just like Pokemon, it also has its own top-down style, and it's very toy-like if you look at all the characters. They have like a plastic feel to them, but they're still loose and fun-looking. It's very interesting and a very unique take on games that I like a lot. So overall, when it comes to that, yes, it could look a lot prettier, however, it could look a hell of a lot worse. Moving along here, one of the other things that I really enjoyed was the fact that they went with the kind of let's go take on battles. Even though I don't hate the toy-like style, it would be very awkward if we transitioned into a battle with those characters looking like that. So it was very relieving to see the characters in full scale. I was never worried about the Pokemon, but the characters, good lord, they should not look like that in battle mode. So thank God they actually got full scale models. Also something here that's kind of a mixed bag for me right now just because I simply don't feel like I've seen enough yet, but the backgrounds feel a little cramped, but that's kind of to be expected. It's kind of reminiscent of what we had in Let's Go and kind of any games before Let's Go. So you know what? I think I'll go ahead and take cramped but mildly detailed over open but super mucky. But overall, I'm super okay with how the battles look. It kind of gives me OG Final Fantasy VII vibes, how they get full scale models when they go into actual battle. It's kind of nice to have that reminiscent type of feeling, you know what I'm saying? Now the next couple of things that I want to say may be a little too early to say because again, we only just got these reveals the other day. So nothing here is guaranteed, but there's still a few things that I'd like to note. First off, from what it looks like, they are staying as faithful as they possibly can to the originals by not including gimmicks. Now again, I may be getting a little ahead of myself here, but from the style that they went with here during the battles, you can clearly tell that there's just something that doesn't give off the vibe of needing mechanics such as Mega Evolution, Z-moves, or Dynamaxing. If it is anything like Let's Go, that just means that there's no gimmicks needed for battling this time around. For some, that may be considered a very horrible thing because that's how they got introduced into the series to begin with, which is very valid. I understand your pain there. However, to those who truly did not want their Gen 4 ruined and clobbered by gimmicks and new timeline BS, well, there you go. Possibly. Again, don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure, but that's just the vibe that I get. Moving on to other things that may or may not come back. Honestly, I'm in full belief that the National Dex is likely to come back, or at the very least, the National Dex that includes Gen Mons 1 through 4. This game is being developed by the people that made Pokemon Home to begin with, so I don't think it's very impossible for them to add in the National Dex that includes, at the very least, the 400 or so Pokemon that were introduced to begin with from Gen 1 to 4. However, if we're getting a little greedy, there's also nothing stopping them from allowing us to get Pokemon from other regions as well. I mean, if you got everything pretty much right there ready to go in Pokemon Home, I don't see why not allow us to get Pokemon from other regions in this very simple game that you've seemed to create, guys. Come on now. At the very least though, I do feel kinda comfortable saying that we're most likely getting the National Dex back for Gens 1 through 4. Not exactly sure what they're gonna do with Gens 5 through 8 Pokemon yet, but there is something that we should consider. Now that this game's on the Switch, you realize that we're playing with some power, right? This game is more than viable for updates and possibly even DLC. Maybe DLC that could give us some kind of leeway into the events that we didn't get the chance to do back in the original Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. Maybe an update that adds a little event regarding Darkrai. You know, that whole situation where we get on the boat, go to that random island and catch my boy? Maybe that can come back now. We'll see what happens. I highly doubt that they would give us an Arceus event though, that's probably fairly obvious at this point. But disregarding just updated side events, maybe we could get some updates regarding Pokemon themselves. Maybe we could get some implemented Pokemon from other generations that we can add in through Pokemon Home that we can nab through Sword and Shield or possibly other titles. I digress though, maybe that's all just wishful thinking. But that just about does it for all the bright sides, all the good things that I'm definitely looking forward to regarding these titles. Now, it's about time we grab that red lightsaber and turn on over to the dark side. Let's talk about the things that I'm not so looking forward to. And again, everything here is not guaranteed. This game is very early in development, I think, so we don't know what's guaranteed and what's not. So all of my worries could definitely change throughout the year before these games release. To start off, why don't we talk about one of my more minor problems, the literal titles of the game. I want to literally smack the piss out of whoever thought that Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl was the way to go. Now this is definitely a minor gripe, but me personally, I don't think those names flow at all. Brilliant Diamond is way too much of a mouthful, and Shining Pearl is dumbly forgettable. That's not even a word, I just made that up. Dumbly, I think. Is that a word? Don't look it up. Don't tell me, please. Anyway, though, that's just a dumb thing, and it's very ironic considering that I'm getting Brilliant Diamond, but I'm not a fan of that title. Just remember that. Moving on to a more legitimate problem, this is probably something that a lot of us can agree on, and it's the fact that the trainers' battle models are kinda lacking a little bit. They're looking a little too stiff to me, and to be completely honest, when you compare them to the trainer styles of Let's Go, they were a lot more expressive over there. Since this game is going to be more focused on the simplistic battling style of Gen 4, I really hope that down the line, by the time we get the finished product, those trainers are looking a little more spiffy and a little more expressive and a little less stiff. Because when we're facing the facts, there's no reason as to why a game that has a much more simplistic overworld style than Let's Go has a less expressive battle animation than Pokemon Let's Go. At least for the trainers. Also, I know that it may be kinda weird that I'm referencing Let's Go as much as I am, but that's only because this game's style is much more in tune with that of Let's Go than Gen 8. Whatever the case, I don't necessarily hate it, but I feel like it could be done a little bit better down the line. Next one's less of a gripe and more of a request. Is having Pokemon following you still too big of a request at this point in time? I'd really like to know. Let's Go managed to do it. Sword and Shield kinda butchered it, but they still kinda did it at least. I'm sure that since this game is Gen 4 focused, if we're really not getting everything, we're just getting solely Gen 4. Is following Pokemon really too much? Is that so much? Would it be too weird in that style? Is that what it is? I don't know, maybe I'm asking too much, but I just think that's something that's more than possible at this point. Another thing that I'm a little worried about right now is the fact that because this game is revamped and made for all the new players that have been introduced to the series, it just makes me a little nervous that y'all might have felt the need to scale back the difficulty even a bit. I'm telling you right now, we're definitely gonna feel the difference going through this game. If Cynthia is not whooping my behind into the next dimension by the end of this game just a little bit, I'm gonna be a little sad, I'm not gonna lie to you. Moving right along here, one of my final irks is that because it's pretty much advertised as a one-to-one remake of Gen 4, we're probably not getting any real changes to the story whatsoever. Which, you know, in retrospect is okay, but we kind of wanted more stuff on Cyrus and Team Galactic and all that. We wanted more on the admins. We wanted to feel more connected to some of these characters while whooping them into the next dimension. Now, they kind of made up for it by giving us Pokemon Legends and the entire lore of Sinnoh itself. That's a little bit of a dramatic, extravagant move on their part, because that's not at all what anybody asked for, but we're not going to sit here and turn that down. I'm just saying though, in the game itself, we wanted more lore on these characters that we know exist in this era or this timeline, but we're definitely not getting that. So it's just a little sad. I will admit I did hype myself up a little bit because your guys' stories and ideas were so awesome. But I digress. We're just getting the same story over again, which is good in some ways, bad in others, but we get what we got. So that just about covers everything that makes me nervous going into these remakes or remasters or whatever you want to call them. As far as my overall facts go, let's go ahead and acknowledge the fact that these games are not finished yet. This is the first time they're ever being presented to us, so we have no idea what the final touches are on this game yet, especially since we're not getting them until the holiday season. When you really look at it, a year is definitely enough time to add touch-ups to a game like this. What we see in these games are not definite. By the time these games come out later in the year, there's a good chance that the problems that I have and the problems that you have been touched up upon. Maybe not all of them, because there's literally no such thing as a perfect game, but there's a good chance. This is also something I mentioned a little bit earlier, but it should be completely noted that these games are not being developed by Game Freak themselves. The company that is in complete control of the development of these games are doing their best to recreate the feeling that Game Freak created all those years ago. It's not going to be perfect and it's not going to be completely in tune with everything. However, I respect and appreciate the effort. This team right here was given the keys to the remakes or remasters because Game Freak themselves are completely focused on Pokemon Legends. So because of that, not only do we get remakes slash remasters, but we also get an entirely new style of game in the form of a prequel in the time span of under a year. 2 Pokemon games that big, that close. Now, I will be completely honest with you. If it were just this game right here by itself, I feel like a lot more people would be disappointed. But I feel like a lot of people have come to understand that when you truly look at what they showed us recently, they are doing what they can to celebrate Gen 4 in a way that everyone can appreciate. The newcomers get to enjoy Gen 4 in its classic but also more modern style, while the game also tries to appeal to its older audience, the ones that enjoyed Gen 4 to begin with. They tried to keep it as similar as possible. Now remember earlier in the video when I was talking about how the games are quote unquote perfect, and I wasn't actually talking about the games themselves? I more so meant the decision to go with something that's very new but also very familiar. Instead of going with a direct Gen 4 remake in the Gen 8 style or a Let's Go style, they kind of met in the middle, literally. Now don't get me wrong, I know that this game is definitely going to have its fair share of flaws, and I know that it's not a perfect game. Please know that I understand that. But personally, as a Pokemon fan, I think I'm going to be eating more than good later this year. Being able to play classic Gen 4 on the big screen is something that I dreamed about since I was very young, and now that I'm able to do it, it's like my younger inner me is screaming and jumping for joy. I'm so excited for these games, I cannot stand it. And not only that, we're getting a brand new style of game that focuses on Gen 4's history, not even a full year later. So, hey, go ahead, call me what you will, whether it be nostalgia blinded or overly optimistic. I'm very much looking forward to being able to play these games with my friends, my family, and eventually you guys, because I want to make sure I enjoy these games with all of you guys too. Hoi yoi yoi, well that's gonna go ahead and do it for my pretty much first impressions regarding Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, but before I give my little outro here, y'all, let's try to keep it civil in the comment section this time. I know a lot of people are very riled up considering the fact that I'm sure a lot of people are not happy with how the remakes came out, but there are a lot of people that are happy about how the remakes came out. Sorry, but not all of us are going to share the same opinion, and that's okay. We can have a civil discussion about it. Let's talk about it in the comment section. We don't got to fight about it. Alright, and this is just a precaution. I haven't seen too much of that, I haven't seen too much fighting in the comment section, and you guys have been very good about that, but let's, try to keep it civil. I know we all have very differing opinions about this, okay? Let's try to be nice to each other. Not everybody's gonna enjoy the game. A lot of people are gonna enjoy the game. That's just how it is sometimes. So, anyway, with that though, I do truly want to hear your opinions though in the comment section below. Tell me what you guys think about this game. Absolute dog doo-doo. Are you picking it up? Are you not picking it up? Is it looking beautiful? Are you gonna skip it, go right to Legends? Are you picking this one up, not picking up Legends? We're probably gonna have this very exact same interaction in the video up next, most likely. So, well, I'll probably end up saying it again, but I still want to hear you guys' opinions down below. But with that, I'm gonna go ahead and skedaddle on out of here. Thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the absolute greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and I do hope to see you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor of taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time.